The principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. The principle of rhythm states everything flows out and in. Everything has its tide. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. This is the universal law of cycles. It is the governing force behind every to and fro motion, every expansion and contraction, every high tide and low tide within the grand play of reality. Looking around the universe feels like a grand breathing organism, and its breath is rhythm. On the largest scale, we can see it in the creation and destruction of suns and worlds. Closer to home, it's the undeniable cycle of the seasons, the reliable pattern of day yielding to night, and the moon's perpetual journey through its phases. The tides of the ocean advance and retreat in a dance with the lunar pendulum. Even the climate of our planet moves through vast rhythmic swings between ice ages and warmer periods. This principle extends seamlessly into the world of human affairs. Nations, governments, and great philosophies follow the same arc. They are born, they grow, reach maturity, enter decadence, and die, only for new forms to rise from their ashes. Financial markets perpetually oscillate between periods of prosperity and despair. Bull markets and bear markets, fashion, art, and social attitudes are all but subjects to the tides of popular opinion, swinging from one extreme to another. As historian Will Durant observed, a nation may be born stoic but dies Epicurean, perfectly capturing the rhythmic shift in collective consciousness. These aren't random events. They are the visible, macrocosmic manifestations of an inviolable cosmic law, the law of compensation. The Kybalion explains, the measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates, just as a pendulum that swings far in one direction must swing equally far in the other. So too do the phenomena of life balance themselves out. A long period of peace may be followed by a period of conflict. A time of great cultural expansion may precede a time of contraction and conservatism. This law ensures that no single condition, no matter how powerful, can hold permanent dominion. Everything is in a state of perpetual measured motion. Now, turning the gaze inward, the same cosmic pendulum, governing galaxies and nations, swings within the microcosm of our own being. This body is a symphony of rhythms, the beating of a heart, the inhalation and exhalation of the lungs, the circadian cycles governing sleep and wakefulness. Modern science confirms what the Hermeticists taught. There's no such thing as absolute rest. Every cell, every atom within us is in motion, partaking of the universal rhythm. Most profoundly, this principle governs the landscape of mind and emotions. It accounts for the bewildering succession of moods, feelings, and other annoying and perplexing changes that we notice in ourselves. This is the inner experience of the law of compensation. A period of intense enthusiasm is often followed by a feeling of deflation or depression. A wave of courage may recede, leaving room for a visit from fear. The capacity for profound joy also contains, by the law of balance, an equal capacity for deep feeling, including sorrow. These aren't personal failures. They are the natural tides of psychic energy, swinging between the poles established by the principle of polarity. This is where the avatar, the constructed self, suffers. The avatar becomes identified with the weather of mind. When on an upswing, feeling creative, happy, and expansive, it clings desperately to that pole, believing, this is me at last. This is how it should always be. It wants to stop the pendulum at the apex of its arc. Conversely, when the inevitable downswing comes, the avatar resists. It resists with equal fervor. It judges the low energy, the melancholy, or the lack of inspiration as a problem, a flaw, or a sign that something is wrong. It personalizes the tide, lamenting, why is this happening? In doing so, it suffers twice, once from the natural low vibration, and again from its own resistance and story about that vibration. Here, we come to a great liberation that aligns with our journey. Looking at these swinging moods, one might ask, where does this sadness come from? Why did this ancient thought arise now? The observer, from its vantage point of awareness, understands a crucial truth. We do not need to know. Who cares? The frantic search to trace every emotional wave to a specific cause in the past is often the avatar's attempt to control the uncontrollable rhythm by analyzing a single droplet in the ocean. It's a labyrinth of the mind. Our power does not lie in preventing the tide from going out. Our power lies in our relationship to that tide. There is no obligation to build an identity on the shifting sand of every passing emotion. A feeling is a vibration just passing through. We aren't required to construct a permanent home for it. It's not only okay to not know its origin. This not knowing is the space where freedom is born. This is the observer's sanctuary. And from this sanctuary of non-identification, a powerful intention can be set. I want to have different thoughts to reflect a new outcome. This isn't a demand for the pendulum to stop, but a conscious choice. A conscious choice to relate to its motion differently. To navigate these inner seas, we wield three essential tools. Once again, they are intention, awareness, and eloquence. With awareness is the lighthouse. It's the capacity of the observer to note the current position of the inner tide without being swept away by its narrative. Before navigating from storm to calm, we first acknowledge, the tide is out. This is a natural ebb. Feeling the quality of this low energy. Is it heavy, slow, or quiet? Awareness simply notes the condition. It creates the critical separation between the self and that particular mood, allowing us to see it as a temporary phase in a cyclical process, not as a fundamental state. Intention is the chosen heading. From the stable ground of awareness, we set a course. This isn't the avatar's desperate wish for the external world to change to match a desired mood. I need something exciting to happen so I can feel happy again. It's the observer's clear choice for an internal stance toward the present rhythm. We declare, I intend to meet this low tide with acceptance. I intend to find the value and rest within this stillness. The goal isn't to force an upswing, it's choosing to be present with a downswing in a new way. Eloquence is the skill in sailing. It's the art of reframing experience through language and metaphor, thereby changing the relationship to the energy. The old avatar-driven thought was a complaint against the rhythm. I am so unproductive and lazy today. But using an understanding of rhythm, we apply eloquence. We find a metaphor that honors the cycle. We change I'm so unproductive to, something like, this is the fallow period in my inner field. The soil is resting, gathering nutrients unseen. This quiet is not emptiness, but a necessary part of the harvest to come. Feel the profound shift? The first statement fights the tide and creates suffering. The second acknowledges the tide as part of an intelligent agricultural cycle of growth, fruition, decay, and renewal. We aren't denying the feeling, we're changing its meaning by placing it within the context of a lawful, purposeful universe. The Hermetic masters discovered a profound application of the will in relation to rhythm, known as the law of neutralization. They realized that while the pendulum of mood swings on an unconscious plane, consciousness itself can rise to a higher plane of awareness from which it isn't affected by the swing. This is the pinnacle of becoming the observer. The practice is to rise above a thing and let it pass beneath. It is akin to watching storm clouds from the clear blue sky above them, rather than standing in the rain and declaring ourselves to be the storm. In a quiet space, sitting comfortably with eyes closed, we can bring to mind a recent low tide experience. Let's say a day of low energy, a passing sadness, or a lack of motivation. First, anchor in awareness. Feel the physical and emotional sensations of that state without judgment. Locate it in the body. Simply note, this is the sensation of the ebb tide. Second, invoke the observer. Gently remind ourselves, I am the awareness that is aware of this low energy. The energy is here, yes, but I am not that. I am the space in which it is occurring. Feel the distinction between the observed feeling and the one who is observing it. Third, apply neutralization through intention. From this point of the observer, state the intention. I choose to rest as the awareness that watches this rhythm. I allow this mood to swing on its plane without my identification. Use eloquence. To solidify this, we might say internally, I am the silent, steady sky. These feelings are merely weather passing beneath me. Finally, rest as the higher plane. Relax the attention. There's no need to try to change the feeling. Simply abide as the aware presence that is prior to the untouched by the rhythmic swing. As the Kybalion teaches, by refusing to participate in the backward swing, we stand firm and allow the mental pendulum to move along the unconscious plane, leaving our conscious experience in a state of greater poise and peace. We are learning the most graceful dance with reality. The principle of rhythm teaches that we are not victims of our changing states. We are the conscious witness of a grand universal pulsation. By mastering the art of neutralization through awareness, we gain the ultimate tool for navigating the inner tides. When we cease fighting the rhythm, we begin to flow with it. We conserve energy, gain profound insight into the transient nature of all experience, and discover a peace that isn't dependent on which way the pendulum is swinging. We understand that the night is not the enemy of the day, but its partner in an eternal dance. And in that understanding, we find our freedom.